Humans of the cardboard! Look at this scary dude. This thing is crazy looking. Anyway, this is a news video. We're covering the new premiere event promo for Power of the Elements. So this is the only card they're going to reveal. It's probably the only card from the new archetype that's going to end up in the Power of the Elements sneak peek. But it's really, really cool. It looks great. I already read the card and I actually set up a bunch of cards that we're going to run through as far as what could work here, because this is the archetype we talked about a couple videos a while ago, a couple months ago, I think, where Konami released information saying this was an archetype like based around an unexpected type of monster. And you'll see what we're talking about here in just a sec. So this is boom, 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 Goatee of the Deep Beyond. Okay, so this bad boy is a level 10 water synchro fish effect monster. So it appears that when Konami said an unexpected type of monster, they're actually just plain and simple talking about fish, which I'm with them. Like, you know, we kind of overthought it. We came to the conclusion that most likely Konami was talking about like flip monsters, Gemini monsters, spirit monsters, something like that. But it appears they were just like, nope, fish is very underdeveloped. Let's give an awesome fish archetype to the game. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at here. But yeah, Goatee of the Deep Beyond. Level 10 fish synchro. He requires one fish tuner, one or more fish tuners, and any other non-tuner. So it does kind of need fish to get you into this guy. But, yeah. His question mark attack is 0 defense. Here's what we're looking at here. The original attack of this card becomes 500 times the number of banished monsters. Dang, that can get so out of hand depending on how this archetype works. Second effect, if this card is synchro summoned during the opponent's turn, you can banish all cards on the field. Okay. Non-target banish every card on the field. That sounds really strong. Only downside for cards like this is because it banishes every card on the field. It means if your end board is setting up like synchro into this and like maybe other cards as well, it means you do like banish your other cards. So if you're forced to sequence it in a weird way, you could be forced to banish some of your other cards. Otherwise, you have to interrupt your opponent in a very specific order. You know, you have to use your spell traps, then you have to use whatever, and kind of go from there. But, you know, still pretty powerful, all things considered, especially because it says on the opponent's turn, which makes me think, I would assume, we're trying to synchro him. Quick effect on the opponent's turn. Pretty solid. And last effect, during the standby phase of the next turn, after this card was banished from the monster zone, you can special summon this banished card. So he gives me like, what is it, Topologic Zeroboros vibes for sure. I mean, kind of just banishes everything on the field, and then he comes back as well as a big beater. I like that he comes back during the standby phase. So if he comes back during your opponent's standby phase, he can still trigger again to wipe the board. Other than that, he's just a recurring, like, gigantic body. Once he wipes the board once and comes back, I mean, I would imagine he's coming back with a good portion of stats, especially if the archetype in question, once we get the rest revealed, like, also does banishing of its own cards. Pretty crazy, for sure. I'm not disappointed with this. The only thing that just seems a little anticlimactic is I was like, oh, new flip effect deck, let's go, Subterror, like New Age Subterrors, and then, it's fish. But, which is cool. I actually like fish. We're going to go through a bunch of fish cards here and see, because I'm assuming that's what they're talking about, right? Is that it's fish-based. That's the one thing that is the unexpected type, which means we can look at a bunch of cards. It means we already have access to all these cards that could potentially help the archetype out. We have stuff like Beautiful Princess on summon, banishes itself to summon any level 4 lower fish monster from the deck. It is Lone Fire Blossom for fish. Pretty good. Mermaid Shark on normal can add any level 3, 4, or 5 fish monster from deck to hand. Depends on what kind of like fish monsters exactly, what level they are that we're working with. But this card could easily end up being a normal summon as well. Merman Abyss Pike, when he's normal or special, discard a water to add a level 3 water. A little more specific because it's exactly level 3, but if it is, I don't know. Well, he's level 10, which is doesn't make me think 3s would be a huge part of it, because like 3 and 7 doesn't sound like that'd be where they'd want to go to make like synchro 10s, but you never know, right? So that could be a thing. Lifeless Leaf Fish, if they're graveyard centric, maybe just Foolish Burrowing Fish monster could be really strong for the deck. I don't know. We got to see. But pretty cool. And then you get the draw later on if you're doing like a bunch of synchro plays and getting a bunch of fish engraved. That's pretty cool. And he also banishes himself. So again, like this is a card that gets itself banished to add to what appears to be like a deck that wants to get your monsters banished because it makes your boss monster stronger. Oystermeister, this card's really interesting because when he's sent from the field to the graveyard, except when destroyed by battle, you special summon an Oyster token. I don't think this misses timing or anything the way it's worded. So, you know, literally use it for a synchro summon to get into something. And then he will get you another token. So if you summon him in a tuner and you go into Hulk, he gets you another token. So then Hulk gets you a tuner. And now you already have a token to continue from there. Pretty interesting. Just something to note there as well. Shark Stickers. This card is kind of like a Kagemucha Knight for water-like themes. When a fish monster is normal summoned or special summoned to your field, you can special summon him from the hand. The only bad thing about this card is it has a clause that said this card cannot be used as synchro material. You know, that's kind of lame because this appears to be a synchro-based archetype. But if it's something like normal summoning, like Beautiful Princess, and then you go Tuna, Chainlink 1, Stickers, Chainlink 2, so that you can just chain block the Tuna, and then your opponent can't... Oh, actually, it's a win effect, so I think it has to be Chainlink 1. Damn. That kind of stinks, actually. Oh, does that make him, like, way worse? Because he's a win effect? So he has to be Chainlink 1, I think, because he's... No, it's a you can. No, it's a you can. I guess. Oh, I don't think it trick. I'm trying to think. I do think there can be some scenarios where this card is a little bit awkward. But again, if this deck is trying to turbo out Hulk and a lot of your starters are just kind of like tuners already, this guy becomes good because he's just like that extra body to get you into Hulk before you have to worry about going into tuners. And I guess theoretically, if this card doesn't have to be Chainlink 1, you could even chain block Hulk. No, Hulk's not. Hulk's Machine. I'm thinking water. Weird card, but it could come up. I don't know. Again, have to check out when that stuff comes out. Silent Anger, level 4 that just jumps on the field. Fishborg Launcher, if the deck does want to play Hulk, this is one of the best water support cards to kind of play with Hulk, because it does just come back as a level 1 tuner. It's kind of like for water archetypes, just like Lone Fire, or not Lone Fire, Glow Up Bulb, and also banishes itself. So again, another card that gets itself banished. Pretty nice. Buzzsaw Shark, really good. Only problem with Buzzsaw Shark is he says you can't summon, after you use his effect, you cannot summon from the extract for this turn except Exceeds. So this is a weird one. I don't expect this one to work that well with it, but it is one of the best fish monsters we have at our disposal. Abyss Shark, the new one, he only locks you into water, so he's actually really good because he summons... as long as you control the water, he summons, and then he searches any level 3, 4, or 5 fish monster. That's actually really, really good, especially if this archetype has 3, 4s, or 5s, because he doesn't lock you in Exceeds like some of the other shark cards. And he potentially searches you into other engine cards for the new deck. This could be an insane extender in this archetype. Crystal Shark, kind of same thing, except he does have the XYZ clause, so not as good in my opinion. Dream Shark, this is a card that hopefully will come out in Battle as a Legend this year, but if you have no monsters on field or all water monsters, he just jumps on the field, level 5. If you're trying to make a level 10, maybe the deck is based around level 5s, like level 5 non-tuners, level 5 tuners. That could make this card a decent extender. Who knows? Then you have Coelacanth. You got to throw this card out there always. It's really not the easiest to get on the field, but if you can, all you have to do is discard one card to summon as many level 4 or lower fish monsters as... Okay, I didn't mean to click that. As possible from your deck, but they can attack and their effects are negated. But if you're summoning stuff like Oystermeister, who's just getting you a token when he leaves the field anyway, you can just set up like some insane synchro / link plays just by spamming so many monsters to the field with him. That could be something. But obviously, like, super hand trap weak. Surface, targeting level 3 or lower fish, sea serpent, rocket monster, and graves. Special summon it. It's a monster reborn that's not once per turn. So this, depending on how the archetype works, this card could be pretty crazy. Fish depth charge. You know, this becomes better if it's searchable. But if this deck is kind of like pretty control-y, this could be something pretty interesting. You know, tribute a fish, a target a card, destroy it, and if you do, draw a card. So especially if the deck like floats. So like getting a float off of a fish and then getting a float, interruption, and a draw could be pretty good. All things considered, could just be good value. Oh, fish is interesting. This card's actually particularly interesting to me because it says when an effect monster's effect activates, shuffle one of your banished fish, sea serpent, or aqua monsters into the main deck to negate the activation and destroy it. The reason this is the most interesting is like not a ton of fish decks seem to be based around getting them banished, but this is one card that like really works with that. Like I would not be overly surprised if they said, you know what, let's give this deck a way to search O fish just randomly. Like particularly just say add one of the archetype spells or traps or O fish from deck to hand. Maybe it becomes a 1-up just for like end board situations. That could be something kind of funny that could come up for sure. Then you have these new card. This kind of makes this make a little more sense here. This is actually like it specials fish monsters from the hand. It can banish a fish monster you control to banish a card your opponent controls. Again, could trigger some of the new stuff that wants to get banished. Cool. Coral Enemy, generic water monster that just helps you reborn stuff. Really good, but locks you into water, so keep that in mind. Halk, yeah, I don't need to explain Halk. This seems to be a synchro-based deck, and it's water, so Halk could be really good. Abyssalacia is funny. I don't know how well Mermails will mix in here. Generically, they don't have a ton of tuners, so they do more Exceed summoning, I think, normally. But this card is like generically, it floats if it's destroyed, and it can quick effect like add a Mermail on the opponent's turn to like get you follow up. If Pike's really good, maybe it's something like Pike. I don't know, just interesting. White Oar Whale is really interesting as well. It is a water fish monster. It's level 8 synchro, but if it's synchro summoned, it destroys all attack position monsters your opponent controls. All of them. So again, if this deck wants to quick synchro on the opponent's turn, if we can make this guy, you can choose to either banish all cards on the field with the other guy, or maybe you go for a route with him and he just pops face up cards. That could be pretty dang interesting. And the last thing worth mentioning is probably Ravenous Crocodragon. He's a fish, synchro level 9. I don't know, usually you don't see decks, like if a deck facilitates synchro 10s, it probably doesn't facilitate synchro 9s quite as well, but we'd have to see the cards. We'd have to see how easily the deck can facilitate, like either if there are different play lines for either level, but still pretty useful card. Gets you some draws, gets you the ability to kind of dry it in your opponent. It's a pretty good card, all things considered. So yeah, that's what we're looking at here. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. This is a pretty cool first card. Very interested to see what the rest of the archetype looks like. Fish has been extremely underdeveloped aside from like shark stuff specifically. There's not a ton of like archetypes, period. There's a couple, as we went through today, like a couple of generic cards that are kind of interesting, especially like Mermaid, Shark, kind of a shark card, but not really for that archetype now. And like Beautiful Princess. So there's like a handful of just like really nice cards that could be a huge part of this archetype, but we're just going to have to see once they finally get revealed. So great first look, excited to see it. Let me know your thoughts down below, guys, on this new card and what you want to see from the rest of the archetype, the vibes you are getting. I would be very curious to hear what you have going on there. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel for more stuff from me down the line, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.